In the modern gaming era, racing games have undergone a huge shift in identity. It honestly seems like they have lost the plot. That being, them originally starting as digital spaces tailored for car lovers and real motorsports enthusiasts to now becoming mass market entertainment projects and products designed to appeal to the broadest possible audience and of course, make the most amount of money possible. This transformation, which is driven hard by the rise of open world design, lifestyle branding, and most importantly, monetization, has diluted the depth and authenticity that once defined the racing genre, most specifically the arcade racing genre. Instead of serving the small but very strong and passionate car community who seek an outlet to live their car dreams in, many modern racing titles prioritize accessibility, spectacle, and instant gratification. Now, in this day and age, popular racing games and franchises like The Crew, Forza Horizon, and Need for Speed have embraced a hybrid sort of formula of casual gameplay, social features, and cultural aesthetics, which often come at the expense of meaningful driving mechanics and actual true car culture. But please do not get it twisted. The devs and companies did not wake up randomly one day and decide to do stuff like this. It is not an accident. This pivot in what they choose to focus on is very much so on purpose. It reflects an industry-wide pursuit of profit through whatever means necessary, even if that means sacrificing the very essence that once made racing games the go-to for all hardcore car nerds and those who loved racing games alike. But why do people care? What makes this change so troubling? Don't people like change? What makes the shift controversial is the illusion of inclusion it creates. These games are created with the promise that they are a love letter to cars and car lovers. However, they're delivering a somewhat half-baked or completely absent lifestyle experience that only superficially engages with the automotive culture. Real car enthusiasts are increasingly alienated, left out by games that replace technical tuning and deep physics with insanely bad and slippery handling, fashion-forward characters that care more about what they are wearing than the car they are driving, in cities that don't even remotely promote the theme of racing either legally or illegally. In this pursuit to become everything to everyone, many racing games have lost their edge and their identity. They've lost the plot. The genre, which once was 100% about cars, is now chasing trends and seasonal events. Don't get me wrong, sometimes this can be good, but when the entire identity of a racing game is about a rapper and clothing brands, maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board. One common theme that ties almost everything wrong with a racing game together is money. As the cost of game development continues to rise and studios are under huge pressure to create titles that can justify their budgets through sales and long-term engagement. In this landscape, designing a racing game exclusively for car enthusiasts simply is not profitable enough for most major publishers. Instead, developers focus on features that appeal to the broadest demographic, which can be open world exploration, customizable characters, flashy visuals, stuff like that, and Unbound is a perfect example. The goal is to create a product that isn't just a racing simulator, but a lifestyle playground that anyone can enjoy, even if they have no real interest in cars. This mass market approach ensures higher player retention, increases monetization opportunities, and it has a wider appeal across all regions, platforms, age groups, races, everything, right? Yes, it may suck to those who have been with the franchise since the beginning and were there to actually see what it once was, but in today's age, that is a thing of the past. Money is what rules instead of authentic car-loving gameplay and themes. A clear example of this strategy is Forza Horizon 5, which surpassed 20 million players in its first year. Its success didn't come from catering to gearheads seeking accurate suspension or realistic tire modeling, right? It came from offering a visually stunning, socially engaging, and instant gratifying experience. It's set in a huge open world located in Mexico. The game delivers seasonal events, it has semi-arcade style handling, and an endless supply of unlockables and cosmetic stuff. It's designed to make every player feel rewarded quickly, regardless of their driving skill or automotive knowledge. While this has brought more people into the genre, it has also diluted the kind of technical stuff and precision that people want, that used to define racing games for true car lovers. The next thing is companies want their games to be popular, right? They want them to be a part of the it crowd. In today's world, you have a higher chance of finding out what is happening in the world on TikTok rather than on the actual news, which is insane. That is kind of like what games are as well. The aesthetics and marketability of a racing game often take precedence over the actual authentic racing vibes. Developers now design games with trailers, Instagram reels, TikTok clips, all that sort of stuff in mind, prioritizing how flashy it is, the trendy music, and fashionable character customization over the actual hands-on detail of real car culture. This shift means that things like accurate engine tuning, car models, all that sort of stuff are sacrificed for features that look good and can get kids excited. While this approach does help games reach a wider, younger audience, it also results in titles that feel shallow to the long-time enthusiasts who value the detail in the actual car culture. A prime example of this trend is Need for Speed Unbound, which fully embraces stylized presentation over realism. The game incorporates, and I quote, graffiti-inspired visual effects, streetwear fashion collaborations, and animated character art. Elements that make it visually distinctive and social media friendly, but also distance it from the actual grounded garage built identity that it actually once had in the Need for Speed brand. That's what it was known for originally. While these features resonate with the newer players and influencers, it leaves little room for detailed tuning systems or all that sort of stuff that the authentic car culture actually likes that had in the older Need for Speed games. In trying to appeal to modern lifestyle trends, the game trades substance for spectacle. We also have to keep in mind that companies are no longer trying to please the older audience and are keeping them around for guaranteed profit. Gaming companies continue to keep older players around, even as they shift focus towards younger people, because veteran players represent a guaranteed, stable source of income. These longtime fans are often more loyal to franchises regardless of what happens to them, and more willing to spend the money to pick up the game over and over again. Companies know that they grew up playing the game and want that experience again. They know that they are willing to buy it over and over again in hopes that one of these games will eventually please them like the older ones. While the older players may not engage with the social features, the microtransactions, all that new stuff as aggressively as the younger players do, their consistent support provides a financial safety net that developers can comfortably rely on when they are making these changes, especially during a game's launch window or when something major drops or when they implement a new speed pass or a microtransaction. I hate to say it, but these gaming companies for the racing genre are giving the older players just enough to keep them from spending their money on something else, and that's pretty much it. And game companies can be really slick with it as well. For example, a new game will often release a trailer or cameo that will highlight its roots and realism to appeal to the longtime fans, even if the gameplay leans more towards casual and the callback is only for a few seconds. This keeps veteran players invested emotionally and financially, while allowing the studio to quietly build systems and features around money in the casual crowd. In essence, older players serve as the dependable backbone of the community. They don't have the biggest profits, they don't spend the most money, but they have their loyalty, and the game companies know that they will continue to buy over and over and over again. But what about the younger people, right? Why do they cater so hard towards those who are new to the franchise instead of those who have been there since the beginning? Modern racing games increasingly cater to a younger audience because that demographic represents the most active, engaged, and money-filled segment of today's gaming market, especially in the racing genre. Younger players spend more time across the game, are more likely to share content on social media, and are more open to in-game purchases and actually spending that money on the game. From a pure business standpoint, targeting the younger audience ensures higher engagement and huge marketing potential, and way more opportunities for monetization through microtransactions. In contrast, older players, many of whom grew up with like Most Wanted, Need for Speed Underground, they tend to seek the actual realism, right? The nostalgia, but don't engage frequently with monetization models. Additionally, a lot of younger players are less attracted to the authentic racing vibes and feelings that older audiences actually value. They grew up with hybrid genres, instant gratification, games that reward all that sort of stuff, right? Developers respond to this by prioritizing that sort of thing and making sure that their games align with the pop culture and fashion trends. In pursuit of a broader appeal and sustained money, modern racing games have slowly drifted away from the very identity that once defined them, the reason why people would pick their games up in the first place. What began as a genre rooted in true car culture has gradually transformed into a flashier, more accessible form of just pure entertainment. While this shift has brought millions of new players into the genre and helped studios justify the soaring cost of development, it has also created a noticeable divide between what racing games once stood for and what they now represent. This evolution has left many longtime fans feeling forgotten about and taken advantage of. Until studios find a way to truly reconcile mass appeal with meaningful depth, the racing genre will risk becoming a hollow echo of its former self. It's visually stunning, it's popular still, but it's disconnected from what it once was, which was the car culture it created and gave energy to. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.